In 1861, as the cannons fired, Washington, D.C. was not just the Union capital, it was a hotbed of espionage. Right in the heart of the Lincoln administration, a hyper-effective intelligence network was taking shape. The surprising twist: the most dangerous spies were not men lurking in the shadows, but elegant, beautiful women frequenting the highest society parties. The center of this web was Rose O'Neal Greenhow, a charming, widowed mother and a fervent Confederate sympathizer with deep ties to Union politicians and generals. D.C. was full of careless officials and loose gossip. Greenhow turned drawing rooms, ballrooms, and bedrooms into venues for extracting critical military secrets. They were called the Petticoat Spies because they often concealed military documents in their voluminous skirts, elaborate hairstyles, or even sewn into children's shoes. This threat wasn't just tactical. It shaped the outcome of the very first major battle and nearly changed the course of Civil War history. How could one woman effectively defeat the entire intelligence apparatus of the Union? In 1861, Union General Irvin McDowell prepared to launch the first major offensive against Confederate forces at Manassas, Virginia. The plan was a top military secret, but Rose Greenhow obtained every detail: the timing, the location, and the troop numbers. She immediately relayed this information to the Confederacy. She encoded the message, hid it in the hair of a young girl named Betty Duval, and sent the girl racing across the lines. The message reached Confederate General P.G.T. Beauregard just days before the battle. Thanks to Greenhow's intelligence, the Confederate forces were ready and entrenched at the First Battle of Bull Run. The battle was a disaster for the North. The Union Army was routed, fleeing back to Washington in disgrace. It was a massive psychological blow and a tremendous victory for espionage. Union Senator Henry Wilson later bitterly admitted, "Greenhow did more for the Confederacy than any regiment they had." After this success, Rose Greenhow was celebrated as the Confederacy's most effective spy, but she had also painted a massive target on her back. After the Bull Run disaster, President Lincoln and the War Department knew a severe information leak existed. They needed a spy hunter. They assigned the task to Allan Pinkerton, founder of the famed Pinkerton Detective Agency, and the closest thing the Union had to a precursor to the FBI. Pinkerton, operating under the alias Major E.J. Allen, used modern surveillance methods to track down the source of the leaks. The primary and most obvious target: Rose Greenhow. Rose's house was a social hub. Pinkerton sent operatives disguised as wounded Union soldiers or social admirers to monitor her around the clock. In August 1861, Pinkerton had enough evidence. He raided Rose's house, finding irrefutable proof: cipher keys, maps, and detailed intelligence files. Rose Greenhow was arrested, but she was not the only female agent Pinkerton had to deal with. The Confederacy still had more cards to play, and one of them was a bold teenager even more reckless than Rose. One of the Confederacy's rising stars was Belle Boyd, just 17 years old, who didn't rely on Rose's subtle charm, but on brazen audacity. Belle lived in the Shenandoah Valley, a constant battleground. Unlike Rose, Belle chose direct action, often riding across checkpoints disguised as a man. In a famous 1862 incident, Belle risked her life by literally running across a battlefield under artillery fire to deliver information to Confederate General Stonewall Jackson. The intelligence she provided on Union troop positions gave Jackson the decisive edge, leading to a Confederate victory at the Battle of Front Royal. Jackson rewarded her with a letter of thanks and the nickname the Cleopatra of the Confederacy. Like Rose, Belle was eventually captured and imprisoned, but her reckless bravery became legendary, celebrated by the Southern press, helping to maintain morale. The stories of Rose and Belle show a difference in tactics, but a shared goal: sabotage the Union from within. But it was Rose Greenhow who met the most dramatic and controversial end. After her capture, Rose Greenhow was confined to Old Capitol Prison, a notorious D.C. detention facility. But even behind bars, her espionage didn't cease. She continued to write coded messages and smuggle them out through bribed guards. She even defiantly flew a Confederate flag from her cell window to mock the Union military. Eventually, the Union authorities decided they could no longer hold her. They did not want to make her a martyr. Instead, in 1862, they exiled her to the Confederacy. This was not the end of her career. Rose Greenhow traveled to Richmond, the Confederate capital, and was hailed as a heroine. She was subsequently sent to Europe as a diplomatic envoy, using her spy fame to lobby the British and French public for Confederate support. While there, she wrote her memoir, My Imprisonment and the First Year of Abolition Rule at Washington, a book that became a key piece of Confederate propaganda abroad. She returned to America in 1864, carrying a mission and a bag filled with the very thing she thought would secure her future. In October 1864, Rose Greenhow returned from Europe aboard a British blockade runner named the Condor, carrying diplomatic papers and a satchel filled with gold coins. The Condor was spotted by a Union warship off the coast of North Carolina. In a desperate attempt to avoid capture again, Rose demanded the captain lower a small boat to take her ashore. The heavy surf capsized her small boat. Rose Greenhow, weighed down by her soaking wet clothing and more than $2,000 in gold sewn into a bag around her neck, was dragged under the waves. Her body was later recovered. She was buried with full Confederate military honors, treated as a great martyr. It was a tragic end for the war's most dangerous female spy. The gold, instead of saving her, became the weight that killed her. A poignant ending to a war where material wealth and ideology were constantly at odds. Though the Petticoat Spies network was eventually crushed, their impact on the war was lasting. The legacy of female spies like Rose Greenhow and Belle Boyd is complex. The Confederacy celebrated them as heroines, embodying patriotism despite societal scorn for women's roles. They proved that in warfare, influence, information, and deception could be more dangerous than a cannon. They forced the Union military to establish more formal intelligence and counter-espionage agencies. Their initial success created lasting suspicion and paranoia within the Union War Department. No one in D.C. could truly trust their neighbor. To many, they represented the ultimate betrayal, using social trust and charm to harm the nation. Their story is a potent reminder that war isn't only fought on battlefields, but in elegant drawing rooms, where a wink or a whispered word could be worth an entire regiment. They forged a new category of espionage, where women, often dismissed politically, wielded immense power to shape the outcome of the war. The Petticoat Spies network will forever remain Washington, D.C.'s most captivating secret. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. We will release more videos. Goodbye.